Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining our Leadership Columbia Alumni Association Power Session. These are designed to be 30 minutes of learning, engagement, and renewal for professional development. And so today, as you are well aware, we're talking about mindfulness because, you know, whether it's just regular life or COVID life or everything in between, we could all use a little bit of mindfulness in our lives and just ways to incorporate this into our, you know, daily practice and everything. So we are going to dive right in because we want to have all of our time, as much time as possible, for learning from Marguerite O'Brien. And we're so thankful to have you today. Marguerite is the Director of Wellness, Prevention, and Advocacy Services at the University of South Carolina. And so with that, Marguerite, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Sure. Thank you, Renee. And thanks for the invitation, Kim and Hillary and Renee as well. And I'm so glad to be with you all. And I see the name Amy Coward, and if, Amy, if you're the one that I used to work with, how are you? It's good to see your name. We're just going to meditate for 30 minutes. Go. No, I'm kidding. I have a few slides to share with you and a couple of activities that we'll do. So let me get my slides queued up and we will go. Excuse me. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm not seeing that. I'm not sure if you're seeing it correctly. I don't know if you're seeing the slide or the slides in the notes, and I can't switch my page like I could a minute ago. So that's interesting. So let me unshare for 1 sec. Whoops. Let's see if I can get back in. Sorry about that, y'all. I appreciate your patience. Let's see. We are not expecting technical difficulties, I know. I'm going to try one more time. Probably giving you the same thing, isn't it? You know what? I'm not going to worry about it. We're just going to roll. All right. So if that's okay with y'all, we're just going to roll on. So what I would like to do just for a few moments is go through some things with you. So welcome. We welcomed Panic at the Disco. We're going to talk about what we've been living through. I'm going to take a brief moment to talk about mindfulness. And then we'll do 4 mini exercises to get us to try different snippets of ways to practice mindfulness. So I appreciate you rolling through this with me. Just as an FYI, in terms of my credentials for this as well, I've been trained in mindfulness based stress reduction. I've also been a long time, 20+ years, yoga instructor, fitness instructor, and meditator. So anyway, if that helps you. So I wanted to share this slide with you because life has been difficult for all of us. So my pandemic at the disco on the agenda was sort of a nod to the fact that for all of us, living during a pandemic has been a challenge. It's been different. It's been difficult. For those of you who are parents or caregiving for others in your lives, I really feel for y'all, especially if you've been working from home. So whereas in our lives, when we've been able to leave the house to go to work, you know, you kind of put your work hat on and you leave, and you know, your children or other family obligations at home, and you can kind of a little bit compartmentalize that. Well, we haven't been able to, especially working from home. All the roles that you play in life, you are playing all at the same time, and that's very stressful. When we think about the dimensions of wellness, all the different ways that maybe living during the pandemic has affected us. So we can think about, like, are we spending more or less money right now? Maybe more money on some things, online shopping maybe, but less money on other things, going out to eat, stuff like that. Are we taking care of our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being in ways that we used to? Or have those ways changed in ways that maybe we're finding some new ways to accommodate those things in our lives? And of course, I'm sure for many of us, we have a lot of Zoom fatigue, looking at screens all day long. I encourage you, if you don't already do this, to take a look out the window if you're lucky to have one in your office or space where you are, or just take your eyes away from your screen and look away. for at least 20 seconds every 20 minutes. All right, so when we think about mindfulness and the qualities and the attributes of mindfulness, I did want to share a little bit with you from Dr. John Kabat-Zinn, who is the founder of Mindfulness Based Stress Reduction. He has a center at the University of Massachusetts Hospital, and his book, Full Catastrophe Living, is sort of the guidebook for meditation and mindfulness practice. And these are the basic, there's 7 key attitudes of mindfulness, and they're just in general having that non-judgmental attitude of just observing what's going on in the present moment for you and just being aware of anything that's sort of bubbling up to the surface. So whether it's thoughts, feelings, body sensations, sounds, just being aware of it and not judging it. We humans like to label things, so try to suspend that judgment. Having patience. Lots of times, especially if any of us are first-time meditators, we can become impatient or maybe think, I can't do this because my mind races too much. Being accepting of what is unfolding and just not sort of in a like I don't care kind of way, but just accepting that life has its ebbs and flows and we're sort of in the middle of it. Not striving to make anything happen in particular. I think for some of us, I know I used to believe it years ago. I was, thought, oh gosh, if I'm going to meditate, I have to clear my mind. It has to become a blank slate. And that isn't true. Our minds think, that's their job. So we don't want to prevent that. We can't prevent it from happening in the first place. And when we just are able to pay attention to those thoughts and let them float by, that helps us stay grounded in that moment. Trusting in the process. Allowing ourselves to let go, and that could be really hard, not to attach to those thoughts, those stories, those memories that come up. And then finally, maybe having that beginner's mind. So looking at this from a childlike, I like to talk about a childlike curiosity, a childlike viewpoint, to just everything is new and just accepting of that. All right, so we will start with our first practice. So I would ask you if you have something in your space. This is a grounding practice. If you have something, what a pen, a pencil, a water bottle, your phone, something, just put an object in your hands and I'll grab something from my space just to show I have a starfish, one of many toys or things I have on my desk. So what I want you to do in this practice is to sit comfortably, sit tall, sit well if you're sitting down. And all I'm going to ask you to do for the next couple of moments is literally look, observe, feel your object, touch it, palpate it, smell it even, and talk to yourself, lightly, low voice, but just describe your object to yourself in every way, using all of your senses or as many of your senses as you can, okay? So let's get started. And try to suspend judgments about, oh, this is kind of silly, or I'm not sure what to do. Just observe, notice, and describe your object to yourself. You speaking out loud, so you get that sensor, you hear that. Describe your object. If it's something that it's safe to taste, you certainly may do that, but I would not lick anything that is not tasteable. Okay, so you can go ahead and stop doing that. And I didn't know if anybody had any comments that they want to make about what you just experienced. I think I was just able to get the slides in the right place too. Yay me.
Marguerite, I'll just offer that I think the words, what I was saying didn't really matter. It was just that I could focus on one thing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Kim. Thanks. Yeah, and that was a very brief version of that activity. And I know the first time I ever did it, I was like, what am I doing? I'm talking about whatever I had in my hand at the time. But it really does get you just to focus on that one thing in that moment. And especially when we get into our senses, that can ground us. So if you're someone that tends to, like, your thoughts just start spinning away and you're like, I can't focus, ground yourself in your senses, whether you actually pick something up and do something like we just did, or notice, like, I feel my feet on the ground, I feel my hips on this chair, whatever it is. I notice, a red pen, I notice the gray wall, whatever it is. Like, put yourself into your 5 senses. That will help ground you into the moment. So thank you for doing that. I'm going to keep moving us through. The next practice we're going to do might be familiar to many of you. We're going to do an awareness of breath meditation. And I have a little bell that I'm going to chime at the beginning and the end of this. And it will just be, again, a couple of minutes just to give you a taste of a breath awareness meditation. Grab my little singing bowl. So once again, get comfortable. Ideally, you will have nothing in your hands. You also will have your feet or legs and arms uncrossed, just to be as comfortable, and you might think you're comfortable the other way, but just to be able to sit as proudly as you can. So here we go. Make yourself comfortable. And close your eyes if that's comfortable for you, or just gaze softly out into space without any focus to that gaze. Take a moment to notice your body in space, feeling the connection of your sits bones to the chair or cushion, your feet to the ground. Allow your spine to lengthen in both directions such that the crown of the head lifts up toward the sky gently and your sits bones press down into the earth gently. Allow your shoulders to rise up towards your ears and then roll them back down and away, creating space. As you do this quick scan of your body, notice if there are places or spaces that are tight or tense or gripping, and see if you can soften just a little bit. Noticing any sensations of coolness or warmth, or tingling, or the touch of fabric on your body. And then gently guide your awareness to the sensations of breathing in your body. Notice where your breath seems the most prominent or vivid to you, and settle into that space, into that awareness, just as you would settle into a comfortable chair. Allowing each inhalation to be unique and full, and each exhalation to be unique and full. You might notice that your mind is distracted by thoughts or sounds or memories or stories that are evoked by thoughts or sounds or emotions. And when that happens, no worries. Just gently guide your awareness back to the breath without judgment, without criticism. Every time we notice the mind has wandered, it's that opportunity to bring the awareness back to the breath. And that builds the practice of meditation. Continue breathing in this way. Continue focusing on your breath until you hear the sound of the bell. Gently bring your awareness back to your body. Begin wiggling fingers or toes, stretching gently, whatever you need to do. Open the eyes back up when you're ready. And maybe tell me or type in the chat how that was for you. How did that feel? I have a comment from earlier that I didn't see. Thanks, Amy, about noticing things you hadn't noticed before with the grounding exercise. Yeah. Cool. And no worries, if you were in a space, or if you're in a space today where you felt like your mind was wandering most of that time, that was probably about 2.5 or so minutes. That's fine. It happens. Our minds think. That is their job. So with practice, I promise it will get a little bit easier. And I will tell you, as someone who's meditated for quite a while now, there are days still when I'm just like, okay, my little monkey brain is not going to settle down. So I have to think of other things that I can do or other ways that I can meditate. Yeah, thank you. Feeling like you were breathing more deeply than normal. That's what Renee said. Thanks. All right, so next practice. Actually, before we go to our next practice, I just wanted to ask briefly, what is your biggest distraction right now? What sort of pulls your attention away? Work concerns, sure. Phone. Oh, but you know what? We have power over those little devices, right? We can turn them off, turn the ringers to silent. Worrying about the safety of your children. Oh, absolutely. For sure. And all of us really, right? Little tasks, fires that distract the mind from initiatives that need focus. Absolutely. And Ray, I think research is tells us that it takes about 20 minutes once you've been distracted to get back into focus. However, I don't have research on this, but these breathing exercises can help you get back in maybe a little bit quicker. So let's try another breathing exercise. This is another breathing exercise. It's also very similar to what we just did. So we'll start with the breath, but this is a particular type of breathing exercise. It's called boxed breathing. And so what I'll be doing is leading us through literally around a box as we breathe. So if you're a visual person, that could work for you. And also if you're a more kinesthetic learner, you might even choose to trace a box on one hand. That might be in your lap or even in the air, whatever works for you. But sit comfortably. We'll start and end with our bell sound again. Give yourself a moment to arrive in this space and time. Reconnecting your body with whatever is supporting you. Taking a couple of deep cleansing breaths, allowing each life-affirming breath to be worthy of your attention in this moment. And for this practice, we're going to breathe around a box shape in our mind's eye, or you can trace it if that seems more authentic to you. And what we'll do is I'll count. This is a counting breath as well. So I'll count the breath. And inhale, we'll pause, we'll exhale, and we'll pause as we go around the box. So imagine the left side of a box. So take a big deep breath, inhale and exhale. And then coming up the left side of the box, inhale, 2, 3, 4. Pause across the top, 2, 3, 4. Exhale down the right side, 2, 3, 4. And pause across the bottom, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 2, 3, 4. Continue this box breathing on your own to whatever count feels most natural for you. Completing your box if you weren't all the way around. And then once again, wiggling around, shaking it out. Open your eyes when you're ready. And tell me how that was, because that's a little different, especially with the breath retention. I know for some folks that could be a little anxiety producing. But any reactions to that? I find that because I know that I'm about to exhale, I can sustain a pause. Oh yeah, Renee. Yeah, that's valid. Renee said that she was maybe focused on counting right. So yeah, if that sometimes the counting is counterproductive for some folks. So that might not be a breath practice that works for you, if that resonates for you. Some folks also just tap their fingers and count like a breath, inhale, exhale, tap a finger, inhale, exhale, tap, and just keep going around to the same hand or maybe to both hands. Especially for folk who are kinesthetic, it might be helpful to do that. You've seen probably the beads that people use to count. They're called mala. Actually, my necklace is sort of one. People will breathe and just slide their fingers just to count their breaths. You see anyone in a Catholic tradition, a rosary is the same thing. You're just reciting a prayer, like a mantra for every bead. So it's just a way to keep the mind focused, essentially. All right, so I'm gonna move us on to another, just kind of a quick, I see a comment. I'm gonna pop into that, thanks. Yeah, that one didn't work, yeah, sure. Too many things going on. There was a lot going on in that. For some people, again, there's so many different ways to meditate, and which is a good thing because there's not one size fits all, right? So thank you for sharing that, Kim. Yeah, if it doesn't feel good, don't. The other thing is, if it doesn't feel good, right, don't do it. This is really not a mindfulness, well, I guess it is a mindfulness technique in the sense that if you are familiar with this, fantastic. If not, the first time I heard about this, I was like, ooh, I like this. So I'm going to share it as often as I can. And that is the way to prioritize, because I think for a lot of us, I know for myself, sometimes my to-do list seems insurmountable, not just at work, but at home as well. And sometimes I'm just like, I don't even know where to start. So I'm not even going to start. And then it gets worse, right? Because I haven't done anything. So this 5-3-1 is a prioritization tool. And what I need, and what I must do. So 5 things on any given day. What are 5 things that I want to do today? What are 3 things that I need to do today? And what is 1 thing that I must do before I go to bed tonight? Whatever it is. And maybe that's just like brush my teeth. I don't know. But that can help when you're looking at your seemingly daunting task list, that to be able to prioritize it. Okay, these are the things I really want to do today. These are the things I need to do. And this one, like this is like a non-negotiable. I've got to get this one done today. So if this resonates with any of you, please feel free to use it and share it at will. as I have done. I have one more quick thing, and then I want to see if anybody has questions or anything we want to discuss. And I know the Leadership Columbia team, your alumni colleagues that set this up, do have a few announcements, I believe. So the other thing, the last thing I want to leave you with is gratitude. And it might seem like, kidding, right? But research is showing us that when we can express gratitude on a daily basis intentionally, that it really does increase our well-being, our happiness. It helps, just like meditation helps to change the gray matter in our brain towards the happy, towards the more resilient, towards the more well. So does expressing gratitude. And I just am a big fan of Pooh and Piglet and all those creatures. And Piglet noticed that even though he had a very small heart, he can hold a rather large amount of gratitude, which I think that quote is beautiful. And so many of you might already keep a gratitude journal. It's just a simple whatever you are grateful for. It's a nice way to start the day, nice way to end the day. Maybe you're grateful for the cup of coffee, for seeing your child or partner smile, for hot water coming out of the shower, for a sunny, when we have them, day, for the rain when we have it. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you as a practice to begin or continue if you're doing it. And then here's just a quote by Eckhart Tolle. You might be familiar with Eckhart Tolle. We are here to find that dimension within ourselves that is deeper than thought. So getting to find some stillness, some quiet will help us with our well-being, with our ability to focus and just manage our daily stressors. There's my information if you want to contact me, and I'm happy. We have a couple of minutes if there are any questions, or if y'all want to take it back and go through some questions or announcements.
Any questions for Marguerite? You can unmute to ask or drop your question in the chat. Amy, did you have a question? Oh, sorry. I guess I have one, which is basically just, I guess as we're kind of going through the day, with work or, certain stress pops up, are there any good reminders? Because I think you can just get so caught up in just going from task to task to task. How can you kind of make sure to remind yourself to stop and take a moment just to practice one of these, even for just a couple minutes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. I think that's really an individual thing. However, I would offer if there's something in your space that you can have, whether it's a picture, an object, I use my starfish that's on my desk to do my grounding activity, something that you can just kind of look at to remind you to take a breath, or just look out the window. If you have a plant in your office, just literally to stop and take 3 deep breaths, 5 deep breaths. That will just help reset. Step away from your desk for a minute, something like that. And some days it's like, I can't leave. You can't, right? You've got to get up and take a bio break at some point in time. So take that moment, that opportunity to take those few breaths. But sometimes if it would help, to have something physical that you can look at or touch as a reminder, as a talisman to remind you to take that mental break at least.
Awesome. I like that idea about a plant or something like that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Seeing some in the chat. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you all.
Yes, thank you, Marguerite. This was awesome. I have had a very stressful 24 hours, so I feel much more calm and collected now than before, for sure.
So. I appreciate being asked to do this.
Absolutely. And we'll share your contact information again as a follow-up with the attendees and everything. And just want to thank everyone else for joining us, and hope you found some value in this. And just wanted to let you know about a couple of upcoming events. One, to save the date, for March 25th, which is when we'll be having our Women in Leadership event that we have annually. So it'll be a little bit different this year. And we'll get out some more details your way on that soon. And also live on the Columbia Chamber website is the sign up for the next leadership conversation, which is with Dr. Tom Bogart of Columbia College on April 27th. So definitely make sure that you're registered for that. And with that, we hope you guys have a wonderful Wednesday and rest of your week, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, Marguerite.
Thank you, Marguerite.
You're welcome. Thanks, y'all. Bye.